Good to see you again, Inquisitor. Allow me to introduce Professor Bram Kenrick. He's the reason we're out here.
A pleasure to meet you, Your Worship.
Professor Kenrick teaches at the University of Orlais.
I came on an exchange program from Starkhaven. While in Val Royeaux, I've found something incredible. After 800 years, we may be able to determine the final resting place of the last Inquisitor.
The texts say that Inquisitor Emeridon was a dragon hunter who vanished on his last expedition.
Yes, precisely. I see you've read Lautrec's Precursors to the Chantry. Inquisitor Emeridon stepped down shortly before the Nevarran Accord brought the Seekers of Truth into the Chantry. He hunted demons, dragons, and dangerous apostates in a time before Templars even existed.
I'm all for history if it means tracking down the equipment of a famous demon hunter.
Scout Harding, you had me at equipment.
Thought you might like that.
Your scouts have gathered artifacts from the area. They may help us discover what Inquisitor Emeridon was doing.
I have news as well. We've encountered hostile Avar to the north. They call themselves the Jaws of Hakkon. There's also an Avar hold to the east. Unlike the Jaws of Hakkon, they've been friendly so far.
The Jaws of Hakkon?
They're hostile Avar who attack any Inquisition agents or researchers who get close. We've sent soldiers for defense, but the Hakkonites are cunning, merciless, and know the basin better than we do. I'm afraid our men will not be able to hold out long.
I thought we could catch up.
Anytime, Inquisitor.
What do you think about the Avar?
When I was a little girl, a lady in our village used to tell me Avar tales. Being able to see their lives up close, it's nothing like I thought. They're very tall, aren't they? I was considering a proposal for Commander Cullen. Avar allies with dwarven archers astride their shoulders.
Oh, I like the way she thinks. We should keep her around. For mayhem.
Yes, mayhem.
All right, get it out of your system.
Mayhem!
Mayhem!
It's funny how a word loses its meaning when you say it enough times.
Have you spoken to Kenrick much?
A bit. He's quite nice, isn't he? And clever. Really loves his books. I said hello one day while he had his nose buried in a giant tome. His shriek was a winner. I can't stop doing it now. It's too funny.
How do you like the Frostback Basin?
It's lovely, isn't it? At least until you step in a pile of bogfish or poo. The stuff's vile. It makes great fuel for starting fires, though, if you can tolerate the smell. I might suggest that to the commander. It could be great for sieges.
The commander would never go for it. He's too dignified.
You mean uptight? Sorry, don't tell him I said that.
They say you grew up in a village. Where did you learn how to fight? Draw a bow? All that?
Here and there. You pick things up as a little dwarf girl in a village filled with piggish Ferelden boys. I'm no artist with a blade. I just know what hurts, and what takes them down quick. Bruised a shin or two in my day, and a few, you know, other things. And archery? There was a traveling hunter who set me up with my first bow and taught me the basics. After that, I practiced on my own. On squirrels, mostly. Oh, and Heinrich from next door, but only with padded arrows.
I hear you have family in Ferelden.
Yes, my mother and father. I insisted they moved to Denerim once I signed up with the Inquisition. Ambassador Montilier tells me I should invite them to Skyhold. She thinks they'd be proud of me. But after Haven, I just can't, you know? It's not that I don't trust you or our soldiers. It's just, I just want them to be safe. And if that means they don't get to see things firsthand, that's okay. My mother likes writing letters anyway.
What are your thoughts about our progress against Corypheus?
The commander thinks we're as ready as we'll ever be, and that we should strike soon. I don't know what's gonna happen after. One step at a time. That's the only way to take this.
We'll continue this another time.
Goodbye then. Have you seen the plans for the new camps? tree houses. It all sounds awful and precarious.
Don't you like the idea of tree houses?
It's a good idea, in theory. Up where the wild animals can't get us. But having solid ground so far, far below me with nothing but air in between us is just...
Who would have thought? Scout Harding afraid of heights.
Me? No. No. I'm not afraid. Who's afraid? No one's afraid. I love being up high. Lovely views, fresh air, birds flying at my head. Yeah. I'm a little uncomfortable with heights. Don't tell anyone.
I should go.
Goodbye then.
Scout Harding has an impressive team. Her people brought back a number of artifacts.
We've had bad luck with artifacts before. I hope none of them explode.
What? No, I don't mean magical artifacts. I meant belt buckles and old nails and the like. Barring enchantment, cloth and leather will have long since rotted away. Only metal and stone remain recognizable. Complicating this are recent pieces the Avar left behind, and of course ancient pieces dating back to Tevinter. Fortunately, thanks to some period-specific buckling, I've been able to track our last Inquisitor.
You said there were pieces dating back to Tevinter.
Yes, while it's rare to see Tevinter ruins so far south, the Imperium once had an outpost of some sort here. They might have built it as a ritual site. I'm not sure what military value it could have. In any event, it's muddled up the research slightly, but I've accounted for it.
You lost me at buckling.
You'd think that a buckle was a buckle. But ever since people started belting on weapons, they've been adding bits. One piece here has a dragon engraving. With the alloys of the metals used, it's clearly Tevinter. While this one uses a clasp that wasn't invented until the dawn of the Orlesian Empire. And when it comes to historical research, you might say we have to buckle down.
What do you have, Professor?
Everything so far points to the shore not far to the south. There was some sort of battle near the shoreline. They were in a hurry. The scouts reported an island near an Avar fishing camp, but the Avar won't say much about it.
What makes you think the last Inquisitor was fighting?
There's a clasp here common to armorlings. It's clearly torn. That only happens from a heavy shearing blow, like large claws or an axe. Then there's the dagger. Silverite, with a stylized dragon pommel and an inscription reading Cordilis. That dagger had to be a gift from Cordilis Dracon, first Emperor of Orlais. No one would just lose such a thing.
What can you tell me about the Avar fishing camp?
Not much. It's the friendly Avar, not these Jaws of Hakkon barbarians. According to the scouts, they wouldn't say much about the area. Likely a local superstition.
I'll find a way to that island and see if there's anything useful there.
Excellent. I'll continue to study what's been found. With luck, we'll both find some answers. Also, one of my research assistants, Colette, was investigating an old structure to the north. I'm not certain it's related to our investigation, but it couldn't hurt to check with her. May I help you, Inquisitor?
How were you assigned to the Inquisition?
I study primarily the early Chantry, particularly around the signing of the Nevarin Accord. That was why I transferred to the University of Orlais, closer to the source than Starkhaven. Sadly, most scholars took Inquisitor Emeridon's history as settled, even with so many questions remaining. No one took my ideas seriously until your Inquisition formed. I wrote Ambassador Montpellier, and, well, here we are.
I'd like to discuss Inquisitor Emeridon.
Of course, your predecessor. Existing historical records are contentious. Some say he was a devout Andrastian. Others suggest he cared little for religion, gaining leadership of the Seekers through Emperor Draken's friendship. He disappeared around the time the Seekers of Truth, the original Inquisition, incorporated into the newfound Chantry. It's not clear why. Some say that he was tired of his responsibilities and wanted one last great dragon hunt.
What's it like at the University of Orlais?
Oh, it's brilliant. Some of the greatest minds I've ever known. Now, the university was always well regarded, but Empress Celine made it the envy of all Theras. She even got them to start admitting elves. Few bit noses, but it's worth it. Knowledge knows no bounds and all. With that unpleasantness with Grand Duke Gaspard done, the university is safe as a haven for knowledge.
I take it you're not from Orlais originally.
No, Starkhaven. Fourth son of Lord and Lady Kenrick, destined for chantry service. Fortunately, I convinced them the university might be a fashionable alternative.
What do you need me to do next, Professor?
I'd still like to find out what's on that island to the southeast. We know the Inquisitor was in the area. Lady Harding mentioned Avar in the area who aren't hostile, but they wouldn't speak of the island. I mean, Scout Harding.
I'll speak with you later.
Good place to get ambushed. Watch your back. At least it's not too dry. Over there. She's not fighting those off alone.
Still standing. That's... Oh. Inquisitor. Still finding it difficult to breathe, but I'm not strewn across the landscape, so thank you. I'm Colette, Professor Kenrick's research assistant. I was hoping to conduct a survey of a Tevinter ruin in the hills. I may not have chosen the best route.
You're Kenrick's research assistant, so that makes you a student at the University of Orlais.
It does? Why?
Orlesian institutions aren't always accepting of elves.
We can't all run Inquisitions, but I imagine you've caught whispers behind your back, too. The university accepts those worthy of admission, though elven students are few.
How do you find it there?
It's not easy, but this is what I want. And I like working for Professor Kenrick. Elven research students, where publications concerned, their work's often deemed not substantial enough for formal credit. But Kenrick cares about people who want to learn. If our research finds an audience, I know my name will be included.
What were you hoping to find at the ruin?
The Tevinter's time here was brief, but their architecture endured, offering shelter, forming landmarks. Ancient Avar would have encountered these structures, which certainly predate Inquisitor Emeridan. Evaluating the ruins could offer insight into the region's history, once I can get set up.
You're still going there?
I've read everything we have on Emeridan, and studied up on new excavation techniques. I won't waste this opportunity. If you've a map, I can show you my destination, if you would be interested in the findings.
Stay safe.
I will.
The ancient Imperium did like to leave a mark. I wonder how long they stayed.
Is this where Kenrick's assistant was headed?
Inquisitor? You may want to see this. Inquisitor! I was going to send word. I found something. This inscription, almost completely faded, but... two stood. Felt 60 true before our triumph. A breath in the hunt, and let rest the lowlanders, worthy of the lady's care. The markings and surrounding artifacts date to Emeridan's time. The references and scripts suggest Avar.
What's your theory?
I need to complete a full survey and have Professor Kenrick evaluate the site himself. But this may be a tribute to Heron and Orina, Inquisitor Emeridan's companions.
What makes you think the inscription refers to Heron and Dorina?
It's only a theory, but the age of the markings and surrounding artifacts match the timeline we've established for Emeridan. We know that Emeridan and his companions came into violent contact with the Avar. I found glass fragments in the clay, several with slight veins of discoloration. Blue. Like Templar artifacts.
Templars?
The Templars were a new order in Ameridan's time. Given their small numbers then, few would be found outside the Chantry's reach. It's unusual to find one deep in uncharted territory, unless he traveled here for a purpose, as Heron would have.
What happened here?
An encounter with ancient Avar, and not a friendly one. Ameridan and his companions were outnumbered in an unfamiliar place. If Ameridan's not here, perhaps someone bought him the time needed to keep going?
If this is the resting place of Heron and Dorina, it only remains because the Avar took time to honor them.
Respect for a worthy adversary? It wouldn't be out of place.
What do you know about Heron?
When the Templar Order was first formed, Sir Heron was among its members. He's arguably the most famous of the original Templars, though he was never one of their leaders. He's better known as one of Inquisitor Ameridan's confidants. They'd known each other since youth.
So they were close. Friends.
When Ameridan was made Inquisitor, Heron's position in his inner circle was assumed. A few ballads about them survive. The type with adventures and happy endings. I don't know if they're true. They remind me of my brothers, though.
What can you tell me about Orina?
Orina was an alchemist in Orzammar. It's said she met Ameridan while dealing with a demon, but it's not known why Ameridan was there. Demons aren't common in the deep roads, but they were a problem for the Inquisition at the time. Orina knew she could help, so she joined Ameridan.
If she left Orzammar, that would make her a surfacer.
She turned her back on the stone, though it's said she had few regrets. Some claim she was actually from one of Orzammar's noble families, but who can say? She never used her last name on the surface, and once exiled, the family likely struck her name from personal documents. Professor Kenrick petitioned Orzammar's Shaperate to grant access to their records, but the request was turned down.
What will you do with this information?
Professor Kenrick will expect detailed notes on the location, stone and clay samples, and any trace artifacts I can find. If Ameridan's history is compiled, this could be worth an entire chapter. I might get credit on the inside cover.
Thank you, Colette.
Inquisitor.
Let us begin.